Okay, so for this walkthrough, we are going to determine slope. And we're going to determine slope from 2 points that are given, from equations that are given. So the first thing that we're going to do up here at the top is it says graph line P. That just means that the line is going to be called line P. It says graph line P that passes through points -1, 3 and 2, 1. So let's first plot those points just to see where they are. So my first point is -1, 3. So to plot -1, 3, which is something that I realize a lot of people are struggling with, this means that we are going to go, our x value is -1 and our y value is 3. That means that we are going to go in the -1 direction on the x-axis. So I'm going to go over 1. And so my first point is going to be right here. Or I'm sorry, that's over 1, -1. And then I'm going to go up 3 because it's positive. So I went to the left 1 on my x-axis because negative is left and positive is right. And then on my y movement is +3. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3. And so the point -1, 3 is right here. My second point is 2, 1. So again, this is my x value, and this is my y, not y value, but y movement. So my x movement and my y movement. So for my x movement, I'm going to go +2. I'm going to go in the positive direction 2 places. So I'm going to go 1, 2. And then for my y movement, I'm going to go up 1. So the second point that I'm going to plot is at 2, 1, which is right here. And so I want to know some things about the slope of the line that goes through these 2 points. So I have a slope of a line that goes through these 2 points. So let's figure out what that slope is. So how we determine slope is we know that slope is rise over run. It's the movement in the y up and down, and then it's the movement in the x left and right. So when we are asked to find the rise, or the change in y, we are asked to find how much it's changing from this point to this point. And so how much is this changing? Well, if I go from the left point to the right point, I'm going to determine that it has, the rise is going to go down 1, 2. So my rise on this is actually going down 2, so we say it's -2. The run is my x value. So how much am I going left and right? And so that's going to be 1, 2, 3. So my run is 3 to the right, so it's +3. So what is my slope? Well, it's the change in y, which is my -2. So it's change in y, which is -2, over my change in x, 3. So the slope of line P that goes through -1, 3 and 2, 1, so the slope of this line is -2/3. I go down 2 and to the right 3. So down 2 and to the right 3. So that's how you would find the slope of that line. Let's try this second one. It says find the slope of the line passing through points 1, 2. So let's first plot those points. So again, this first value is my x value. So this first value is my x value. This is my y, x, y. So let's plot this one first. So I'm going to go 1 in the positive direction, so 1 right and 2 up. That's how I'm going to plot this point. So starting at 0, I'm going to go 1 to the right and 2 up. So this is my first point at 1, 2. My second point is 4, 3. So I'm going to go to the right 4 and up 3. So this is my second point. And I want to know what is the slope of the line that passes through these 2 points. So I want to know the line that passes through these 2 points. What is the slope of this line? So let's figure that out. The first part says, what is my change in y? So how much is my y changing from left to right? So if I'm starting at this point, I'm going to go up 1 to get on the same level as this point. Think of it as like an elevator, like you're going to a hotel. So the red dot is like you're in the lobby. You have to go up 1 floor to get on the same floor as this green dot. So I went up 1, so it's positive 1. How many doors down am I going? Well, I'm going 1, 2, 3 doors down. So the slope of this is up 1 over 3. So the slope of this line is my change in y is 1. I went up 1 floor, and my change in x is 3. I went to the right 3. So from the left dot to the right dot, I went up 1 and over 3. If you don't understand exactly how to find that when you're graphing something, maybe you rewind the video and rewatch those. If you still don't understand, let me know. Okay, so on these 6 problems, you're going to find the slope of the line that passes through the following points. Show all of your work. So the one thing we want to remember is that slope is the change in y over change in x. And when you have change, that means that you're going to use subtraction. So we first want to label xy, xy. So my change in y over change in x, rise over run. I'm going to take this first y value at 3 minus the second y value of 9. My change in x says I'm going to take the first x value, which is 10, and I'm going to subtract my second value. One thing that I want you to notice right here, if you look at these right here, this is 310. Those two numbers are together, and this is 97. These two numbers are together. You cannot flip them. So it has to be this first point minus the second point on top, and the first point minus the second point on the bottom. Make sure those numbers stay together. Okay, so after we have it all set up, this is 10 minus 7. Now we can actually do some math to see what the slope is. So 3 minus 9 is negative 6, and 10 minus 7 is 3. And we can simplify this. So negative 6 divided by 3 is actually just negative 2. So the slope of the line that goes through those 2 points is negative 2. Let's try another one. This one's going to be x, y, x, y, like the alphabet. X goes before y. So I have change in y over change in x. So let's find the difference of my y values. So I take 10 minus 7 over 2 minus 8. 10 minus 7 is 3. 2 minus 8 is negative 6. 3 divided by negative 6 is negative 1/2. So negative 1/2 is the slope of the line that goes through those 2 points. All right, let's try this last one. So I have change in y over change in x. This is my x and y, just like in the alphabet. X goes first. I'm going to subtract my y values, 11 minus 5, over 12 minus 9. And again, just make sure 11 and 12 are together here. 9 and 5 are together here. So make sure you've paired them up correctly. Okay, so let's do some subtraction. 11 minus 5 is 6. 12 minus 9 is 3. 6 divided by 3 can simplify down to 2. I don't know why that's not writing, sorry. 6 divided by 3 can simplify down to 2. So the slope of that line that goes through 12, 11, and 9, 5 is 2. I want you to think about everything I just did on these 3 problems, and you're going to apply it to these 3 problems right here. Making sure that you follow step by step what I just did. Don't just go through the notes I just gave you and then lose track of everything that you just learned and then do these 3 problems completely wrong. If you want to do a problem and have me check it before you do the other 2, that's fine as well. Or you can do a problem with a partner and have them check it. Just make sure you're not just carelessly filling out these 3 problems and doing them all wrong. Okay. And from tables that are given, and that's it. So this will help you determine how to find slope from a few different given ways. All right, finding slope from a table. So find the slope of the line represented by each table, then describe the direction of the graph. Okay, so let's look at table 1. Okay, so we have slope is change in y over change in x. How much is my y changing is my numerator. How much is my x changing is my denominator. And as long as they're changing by the same amount, like all the y's are changing by the same amount and all the x's are changing by the same amount, you know you have a constant slope. So you know you are creating a line. I'm telling you that all of these are creating a line, so we should have the same numbers each time. So here's how this would look. When you are in a table, you want to see how much the y is changing. So from 3 to 5, it's going up 2. From 5 to 7, it's going up 2. 7 to 9 is going up 2. 9 to 11 is going up 2. We are worried about the change in y, how my y values are changing. So we don't care at this point what the x's are doing. We just want to know how much the y's are changing and if they're changing by the same amount each time. These are changing by the same amount, so I know that my slope, change in y, is that it's increasing by 2. So now let's do our change in x. So from -2 to -1 is +1. -1 to 0 is +1. 0 to 1 is +1. And 1 to 2 is +1. So I know that my change in x is that they're increasing by 1 each time. 2 over 1 is 2. When it says describe the graph's direction or description, if you think about the notes, the guided notes, this is a positive slope. So the graph description is that it's going to be going up like this because it's positive. So I don't necessarily know or want the detail of exactly where this is on a graph. I just want you to understand that because this is positive, it's going up from left to right, and that we know it has a positive slope. Okay, so let's look at graph or table number 2. Change in y over change in x. So my change in y, let's see how much this is changing. From 5 to 2, we know it's going down 3. Same as here. -1 to -4 is down 3. And -4 to -7 is down 3. So I have a consistent change of -3. On my x side, -3 to -2 is +1. -2 to -1 is +1. This is also +1. And this is +1. So my change in x is +1. -3 over 1 is -3. So the slope of the line that would be created by this table or by the points, this is a coordinate point right here, -3, 5. That's a coordinate point. If I plotted all of these points, I would create a line that has a slope of -3. So for the graph description, I just want you to know that because this is negative, that means from left to right, it's going down because it's negative. That's my son. Okay, let's do the third table. Okay, so I want to know my change in y over change in x. So my change in y, how much is my y changing? So from -17 to -13, I know that it's going up 4. -13 to -9 is also up 4. This is also up 4, and negative 5 to negative 1 is also up 4. So my change in y is positive 4. When I look at my change in x, I'm going from 1 to 2, so that's up 1. 2 to 3 is up 1. 3 to 4 is up 1. And 4 to 5 is up 1. And so my change in x is positive 1. 4 over 1 means that my slope is 4. So when I talk about my graph description, I just want you to know that because it's positive, it's going to go from left to right. It's going to go up. It's going to look like it's going up because it is a positive slope. Why that's not writing, sorry. Okay, so for table 4, I want you to do this one by yourself. So go back through what I taught you for the first 3 tables, and then I want you to try this one. After you have finished it, I want you to get my attention so I can check your answer, or you can check your answer with someone sitting next to you. And if you guys got the same answer, you can check with someone else, or you can move on. Or if you get different answers, maybe try to figure out which one did something wrong. Get my attention. We'll go through it together. Okay, so the last part here, it says determine the slope from the given equation. Make sure your equation is solved for y. So we talked about in the guided notes, we have this form of an equation. It's called slope-intercept form. So we have slope-intercept form. So INT, slope-intercept. And what slope-intercept form is it's solved for y. We have an m here, mx plus b, where our m is our slope. And do you remember what b stands for? Our y-intercept. Where does it hit the y-axis? That's why this is called slope-intercept form, because it shows us our slope and our intercept. This plus goes with it. So if it's minus 7, then your intercept is at negative 7. If it's plus 2, your intercept is at positive 2. So again, it's that part, the B part, is where your graph hits the y-axis, where it intercepts the y-axis, where it crosses over the y-axis. The number right before the x is your slope. But you have to make sure your equation is solved for y, or it's not in the correct form. So, like for example, number 1, it's already in slope-intercept form. So we have y equals, this number is our slope, x, and then we have minus 5. So our slope in this case is, again, the number right in front of your x value. So our slope is negative 5 halves, and our y-intercept is negative 5. So it hits the graph at negative 5, and it has a slope of negative 5 over 2. All right, let's look at the next one. Y equals negative x plus 3. This is in slope-intercept form because there's actually a little 1 right here. So our slope is the number right in front of the x. So our slope is negative 1, and our y-intercept is positive 3. So this line, if I were to graph this equation, it hits the y-axis at 3, and it has a slope of negative 1. So it's going to go down like this because it's a negative. Same with this one. This one will also go down because it's negative. Okay, so let's look at this, these last 2, and then I'm going to have you try the other 4 on your own. If you notice on number 5 right off the bat, you should notice this is not in slope-intercept form. Remember that we want it to be in y equals mx plus b form. Well, it's not. So we have to use the skills that we just learned with solving equations, solving literal equations, if you remember. We have to solve this for y. And so the way we can solve this for y is we can get rid of this 2x. So we can minus 2x on both sides. Sorry, I'm not sure why that's not working. So we can minus 2x on both sides of the equation. That leaves us with negative y, because those cancel out. Negative y equals 1 minus 2x. I need to get rid of that negative in front of the y because I want it to just be I want it to be y by itself. So that's actually a -1. So if I divide both sides by -1, I would get y equals 1 divided by -1 is -1. -2x divided by -1 is 2x. Now, this isn't in slope-intercept form yet because I need this part to be in front of this part. So I have -1 and positive 2x. So this is actually y equals 2x, and then I still have this -1 right here, so -1. So for this one, this is my slope. My slope is 2, and my y-intercept is -1. It's a little tricky, but maybe you rewind the video and kind of walk through it now that you have it written down and just see like what part maybe doesn't make sense to you and ask a classmate or get my attention and I can help you with it. Let's try this number 7, this last one. Okay, so again, you should notice that this one is not solved for y. So let's solve for y. We want to get rid of this 8x, and it's a positive 8x, so I can have a minus 8x on both sides. Those cancel, and I'm left with 3y equals -9 minus 8x. I want to get rid of this, oh my goodness, sorry. I'm going to get rid of this 3 right here, so I'm going to divide by 3, both sides by 3, which means everything on the right gets divided by 3. So now I'm left with y equals, I have -9 divided by 3 is -3. And then I have -8x divided by 3 is just -8 thirds x. And so this still isn't an mx plus b form, y equals mx plus b form. So I need this part to go first. So y equals -8 thirds, I won't write, sorry, x. This is -8 thirds x. Sorry. Oh my gosh, it won't write. That is a 3 down there. I'll write it up here. Okay, so that is y equals -8 thirds x, and then this -3 comes afterwards. So the slope of this line is this first part right in front of the x. So the slope is -8 thirds, and my y-intercept is -3. I would say that these aren't challenging problems if you understand how to solve literal equations, but they could be a little challenging if you had problems with the last unit. So if these 3 problems did kind of confuse you, just get my attention in class and we can go over them together. But you should do this number 4 by yourself, and I want you to try these 4 problems by yourself as well. And then once you have those 5 problems done, I want you to check with a classmate, check with me, make sure you have the right answers before moving on to the practice. Okay, I know that was a lot. Just keep me in the loop if you feel like you have problems or don't understand something so that I can help you during class. All right, see you later.